Hey everyone, it's Jeff here. I said I'd talk about A Serious Man, the Coen Brothers' A Serious Man, after I watched it. And I'm keeping that promise, even though I don't really want to, because I don't have that much to say about it. And I'm certainly not doing a written review. It's just not a movie I like responded to much in any way. Really, is I like the Coen Brothers, but I think part of it was I just it wasn't for me. I don't think I completely got it. I mean, it'd be kind of like Roger Ebert reviewing Grandma's Boy or something. It's just he's not gonna get it because he's proven he doesn't like video games. So I've always liked the Coens. I think they're masters of their craft. A lot of their films are some of my favorites. Probably my favorite film by them is The Big Lebowski. Surprise, surprise. I also love Fargo. A whole bunch of their movies. I even like, even when I don't like their movies, like I wasn't a big fan of No Country for Old Men. It had nothing to do with their filmmaking. They were just following the book, and I don't like Cormac McCarthy, and that's a whole nother post for a whole nother day. But they're always very specific directors. I heard they're always like very specific with their actors, like to the point of how they gesture and how they hold a cigarette and this and that. And this is a very specific movie that has kind of a small target audience. It's about this physics professor in the 1960s. He's Jewish. It's like this comedy that has kind of Jewish culture humor in it, which I'm not Jewish despite the nose. I mean, it worked okay for me. There was a lot of times where I did chuckle. I was amused, but it's just like this professor going through a midlife crisis, and you can't figure out what message Hashem or God or whatever is trying to send him. So he's going to see rabbis and he's freaking out. I mean, these problems seem very apparent to the viewer. His wife is cheating on him. His 13-year-old kid is smoking pot all the time. His neighbor is this crazy redneck dude that keeps mowing part of his lawn. I mean, it's pretty easy to pinpoint the problems he's having. His kid subscribed to Columbia Records without him knowing. And that's really the whole movie is him trying to figure out what's going on in life, trying to figure out the meaning of life, trying to understand why all these bad things are happening to him. When he says, "I'm a serious man. I've tried to live a good life and do this and that, and all these bad things are happening." And, that's certainly good grounds for any story, and it's good material for a comedy. But the movie just kind of drags and never really finds its footing and never really put its hooks into me. I mean, I was kind of, like I said, I've laughed, I chuckled here and there, but it was just kind of meh throughout. Now, what I'd really like to talk about most, without spoiling it, actually, I'll try my best, is the ending, because that's the thing that it's one of those endings that will divide people, and it's one of those endings that drive people nuts. Because there's not a lot of movies that do this, but the Coen brothers own No Country for Old Men. There's one example of it where it just kind of builds up to something. Here's another example of The Sopranos. It builds up to something that's kind of exciting that's happening, and it ends right in the middle of it. And that drives people crazy, I know, but I honestly, when it's done right, I like it. And I kind of, the way it's done here is probably the most interesting thing about the film, and it's probably the only thing that'll keep this movie in my head for more than a couple days. because he's got all these little problems that I've kind of mentioned to you, like his wife's cheating on him, she wants a divorce, his son's screwing off, his crazy neighbors and this and that. And I think that's kind of the problem with it is you're just kind of like, so what? These are problems that everyone has to deal with. And yeah, some of it's funny, but it could be funnier. I've seen the Coen brothers be much funnier. Big Lebowski comes to mind. But then at the ending, it seems like some real problems are on the way. Like some big things are going to happen. And it's not worth spoiling it. If you're going to see the movie, just see it. I'll try to talk around it. But some big things are about to happen. Things much worse than just your wife cheating on you or your kid smoking pot or stealing $20 out of your wallet. Serious catastrophic things might be happening. And then it just ends. Written, produced, and directed by Joel and Ethan Coen. Running the credits. That's really, to me, like I've said, the one big thing worth examining in the movie is what the hell does that ending mean? Because I know a lot of people will just be like, there needed to be more. What happens next? But I'm just trying to figure out what the Coens were trying to say by that. And it's obvious up until that point that the whole movie's a comedy. I mean, if you watch this and think it's something other than a comedy, you're not paying attention, or you weren't paying attention. And I think like there's like this shift in tone right before it ends on this like little cliffhanger ending. I think that's the Coen brothers' way of saying that most of your problems in life are smaller than you think. It's all about perspective. And the reason it ends where it does is because if it went any further, then it wouldn't be a comedy anymore. So, I guess that's my thoughts on it. I don't have really too much more to say about it. Interesting ending there. Kind of talking about I think the movie kind of comments on the difference between comedy and tragedy. And I think it has something worthwhile to say about life. It's just not as entertaining as you would hope. I mean, I wasn't really excited to see this movie, to be honest, but I kind of, with the Coens, I always hope that it's just gonna win me over, and I expected a little bit more out of it. It's probably one of their least effective movies, or just least smallest, most niche audience of a movie. I mean, I don't even like Oh Brother Where Art Thou. I'd say I probably like that more just for George Clooney and it's the movie's goofiness. This movie, like I said, is funny. It has its moments and it has some quirky, funny characters like his brother with the sebaceous cyst on his neck who gambles and apparently likes sodomy. But I've just seen the Coens be so much funnier. From Burn After Reading, which I loved, to Big Lebowski, which everybody loves. And this just didn't do it for me, and I have a feeling it's not going to do it for most people. I can't give it a bad rating. I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5, actually, but it's not something I would be able to tell anybody to go see. But it's not a movie I hate. It's not as easy to write off as something like Avatar. It just is there. It exists. And so with that, why waste any more time talking about it? I've said anything worth saying.